Guys, Vitalik came out and said there's a 20% chance that quantum computers break modern cryptography before the end of 2030. Okay, so less than 5 years, he thinks there's a 20% chance that crypto could potentially get hacked. Absolutely insane. It's not the first time Vitalik's actually talked about this. He posted back in 2024 in October saying EOAs will be dead in the long-term future, whether we like it or not. I love that he said that, because whether we like it or not, we don't want to believe it, right? We don't want to like it. We want Bitcoin to go to $1 million. We want it to be the lowest risk opportunity of our lifetimes. We know that there's only 21 million. We know it's scarce. We know the institutions are here now. It's probably one of the easiest 10x's of our lifetime. And we don't want to lose that opportunity. And I'm talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum and any blockchain really that runs on cryptography. We don't want to lose that opportunity, right? So we have our emotions are attached to this. When we see this quantum resistant threat, we don't want it to be true. So I love that Vitalik is able to look at this from a logical point of view and say, look, whether we like it or not, quantum will eventually break ECDSA. Will, not maybe, not if, not potential. It will. It's inevitable that this is going to happen. So if something's inevitable that it's going to happen, why are we not taking the steps with Bitcoin to become quantum resistant? Why are we not seeing Michael Saylor talk about this? Why are we not seeing other people? Because they don't want the price to go down, right? There's so many different plays here. There's so many people are attached to their investments. They don't want to believe it. They don't want it to be true. This is serious, man. 20%, that's a 1 in 5. Can you imagine if you went to buy a house and the estate agent said, yeah, that's going to be 50% of your portfolio, so it's going to be 250,000 or 500,000, and you're like, yeah, it's a lot of money, but it's a low risk investment. It's probably going to 10x over the next, I don't know, X many years. It's super safe. And then they say, oh yeah, by the way, the land that this house is on, you have a 1 in 5 chance of there being an earthquake and you're not insured. Okay, so there's no insurance. So there might be an earthquake here, not even in the next 5 years, right? In the next 5 years. And it could be next year. I don't know. It could be next year. So you might lose your entire holdings if there's an earthquake, because obviously we're not giving you insurance, because we're telling you that there could potentially be an earthquake, just as BlackRock have told us, right? BlackRock issued a warning about quantum computing. If quantum computing is able to advance in that way, this is from BlackRock themselves, by the way, guys, there is a risk that quantum computing could result in the cryptography underlying the Bitcoin network becoming ineffective, which, if realized, could compromise the security of the Bitcoin network, or allow a malicious actor to compromise those wallets holding the Bitcoin owned in the trust or others in Bitcoin network, which would result in losses to shareholders. And they've came out and they've given the warning, right? And now we're seeing Vitalik talk about it. Now we're seeing latest news from El Salvador is splitting its Bitcoin holdings across multiple wallets due to the threat of quantum computing. But if the threat is 5 years away, why is El Salvador making drastic steps right now, right? Because why are they moving it into these new unhashed wallets so that it's protected against quantum? Why is Elon Musk questioning quantum computing hacking crypto? This was August the 2nd. Aren't we seeing loads of different things happening? It's almost like they're trying to give us the heads up here. We're seeing some of the largest people in crypto, in Bitcoin, taking precautions against quantum computing. And Elon, when Grok replied to this, Elon replied to Grok saying, as if I don't believe that's true. Almost as if like I've heard otherwise. So this is the dangerous thing about this space. And when I raise this with people, they will come back to me. Someone commented on one of my posts saying, would you buy BTC and crypto if you are a believer? It doesn't matter whether we're a believer. Even Vitalik himself just came out and said it's inevitable, right? It will hack crypto. whether we like it or not. This is the problem, right? Are you a believer if you say crypto's going to get hacked? I mean, it doesn't matter whether I believe it's going to get hacked or not, right? it's inevitable that it will be able to hack it eventually. So, whether I'm a believer in Bitcoin or Ethereum, it's an absolute irrelevant question. And people are getting defensive, right? They're getting defensive because they're attached to their investment. They're attached to their Bitcoin. Michael Saylor's told them never sell. The White House are buying. Everyone, BlackRock is buying. They're so attached to this emotionally now. It's almost like a cult, right? There's a lot of cult channels. I see some of these massive YouTube channels, and it's almost like a cult, the way they talk about it. Never sell, you're an idiot. They call other people idiots and smooth brains if they sell, or if they even question a vulnerability. They say, are you an idiot? They're not really open to discussing the real risks, and they're not looking at it as a money play. They're not looking at it as okay, if I put X in here, I might make a 10X. They're looking at it as like they're becoming attached to it, and that's a massive problem, right? Once your emotions once you start to get attached and married to these positions, there's a rule, right? Never marry your bags, never get married to your bags, and that's how a lot of people actually end up losing. And now it's becoming even more worrying that we have a lot of the biggest people in the space actually coming out and making changes now, right? This is massively alarming. When you start to see people actually taking precautions on chain, what do they know, right? What do they know? If it's so far away, if it's 5-10 years away, why are you even making changes right now? Because even Bitcoin has not even started any upgrades to become quantum resistant, right? And we know that's going to take 3 years. That's going to take 2 to 3 years, guys. So the scary thing about this is, let's suppose quantum is a lot sooner. Let's say worst case scenario, quantum is a lot sooner than we expect. We're not going to get a heads up. We're not going to get notified by anyone to say, by the way, quantum is able to hack crypto. Who's going to find out first? Well, the teams and the insiders, people at IBM, people at IonQ, people at D-Wave. Those are the guys who are going to find out first, because the engineer's going to come in and go, hey, we've cracked it. We found a way to scale it up even further. If we do this and do this, it can do this many operations. And unfortunately, that does actually crack our security systems in the general public, right? So it's actually a threat to national security. The problem is, in this current system that we're in right now, we know there's a lot of loose lips. And what happens? Inside information goes around. People will start to trade on that information. They'll start to short Bitcoin. They'll start to sell Bitcoin. They'll start to sell Ethereum. They'll start to sell anything that's not quantum resistant that could be hacked. Maybe they'll sell some banking stocks. Maybe even banks will take a bit of a dip. And we'll start to see it on chain first. So we're not going to see the news first. We're always going to see it on the charts. When we start to see price doing this, when we start to see dormant wallets, so most of the people on the inside are the richest, right? So the insiders are the richest people. So those people are going to be, you're going to see wallets with billions of dollars just out of nowhere suddenly start to sell. Okay, so like dormant wallets, when you see loads of dormant wallets popping up selling, that's going to be a massive red flag and something that I'd be interested in seeing to confirm some of this. You're going to see a lot of anything related to quantum going up. So you're going to see quantum really start to accelerate in price. So if you see quantum going up like this, so quantum computing companies like IBM and D-Wave, Qubit, if you start to see them shooting up and you start to see Bitcoin shooting down aggressively and Ethereum shooting down aggressively, that might be the confluence that I'm looking for, that this is actually happening right now, okay? And that's probably where I'm going to be interested in taking potential short positions. Someone came out and said, someone said, are you a believer? We've talked about that. Doesn't matter whether I'm a believer, right? I'm looking at this logically. Their argument is there is TradFi in governments that would break before BTC does. This is the worst argument. So he's saying there's TradFi in governments that would break before Bitcoin does, before crypto fella. There will be other factors that will cause pain in society and markets. This is the worst argument, because Vitalik comes out and says there's a 20% chance in 5 years crypto may be finished. People say, what about the banks? What are you talking about? We're not even talking about the banks. We're talking about crypto. And do you know how long it would take to upgrade BTC to quantum resistant? If you don't know, go and watch my last video I've done on this. It's called Elon Musk's Bitcoin Warning 2025. Go watch this back. It's quite in depth, and I talk about what might happen, what I would do. There's loads of different scenarios I talk about here, and I talk about how long it's going to take for each blockchain to upgrade, including Solana, Bitcoin, Ethereum. So I'm not going to waffle on about that. It's quite in depth, and it goes into detail about the steps they have to go through. But overall, Bitcoin to upgrade would take around 2 to 3 years. 3 years if you were lucky and there was no issues. 2 to 3 years it would take to upgrade. The banks, there's already software companies. That can upgrade our current systems, guys. Do you know the difference between a software and a blockchain, right? Do you know the difference between the compute? Like, you can't just upgrade the blockchain. Okay, you can't just upgrade the blockchain like a software upgrade is. The banking system, the banks would go into a boardroom, sit down. Okay, who can we work with here that can upgrade our systems? And they'll go, this company, this is what they're doing. They're working with the military. They're already upgraded so-and-so systems to become quantum resistant. They expect that this is going to be secure for the next 300 years. And, unless quantum does this and this and this, it's probably, it's going to be safe. And, they'll be able to sit down and resolve this in a matter of weeks, guys. And it's a simple process of upgrading the system. It's not going to be easy for them, right? It's a big change, but they upgrade the back end. We as users are still going to go into the ATM and withdraw cash. We're still going to go into the bank. You're still going to use Apple Pay, and there's an upgrade on the back end, right? There's just a simple upgrade on the back end for them. The blockchain is a completely different matter, which I won't waffle on about because I've talked about it in a previous video. But it would potentially take 2 or 3 years, and then that's if everything goes smoothly. And if it doesn't go smoothly, it may take longer. So the problem here is, if Vitalik is saying that in the next 5 years this could get hacked, and we're seeing a lot of signs like from Elon and Naib that it might even be sooner. What happens if it's sooner? What happens if it's in 3 years and Bitcoin is not upgraded? Bitcoin is finished, right? Bitcoin is finished. Even if it doesn't get hacked, who the hell is going to hold Bitcoin knowing that quantum is able to hack it? And it hasn't, let's say it hasn't even made steps to upgrade in 3 years. Who in their right mind is going to buy the house knowing that they've got a chance of completely losing it all at any moment? And someone on my last video came out and said, oh, well, at least my money's in the BlackRock ETF. Guys, do you even know what you're investing in? Because even BlackRock have come out themselves and said quantum is a huge threat to crypto, and your money's not insured. Where do you think BlackRock have their Bitcoin? They don't have it in a magic BlackRock vault that's impenetrable. It's on the blockchain. Where do you think their Bitcoin can't get hacked? Theirs is special. They're storing their money on the same blockchain that we store our money. There's no other way. If there was a better way to secure your money, wouldn't everyone else do it? So it's not insured, guys. So if you have your life savings in Bitcoin with BlackRock and it gets hacked, you're gone. It's finished. I don't think people quite understand, and some people are coming out commenting these things that are not true. It's a very serious subject, and it's annoying. I don't get me wrong, it's annoying, guys. I wanted to plow a lot of money. My strategy was to make money in altcoins this cycle, which I've done, and then start to go into lower risks, right? Start to go into Bitcoin. I'm probably going to go back into Solana again, but start to look into a lower risk portfolio along with high risks, right? I'm still going to have high risks, but a large percentage I wanted to put into low risks. And do you really think I'm going to put as much money as I was planning to into Bitcoin if I'm looking at a 1 in 5 chance of losing my money? I don't think so, guys. Let's play devil's advocate. Let's do best case scenario. Okay, best case scenario, we find out first from IBM. Okay, so before any wallets are hacked, we actually find out first from IBM. Let's say Bitcoin hasn't crashed that much. The news comes out and there's an immediate market reaction. Okay, so it hasn't really crashed that much. We're early to the news, and they come out and they say it could be hacked, but there's no hacks, right? They say it could be hacked, but there's been no hacks. IBM are the only ones with the technology, and they come out and say, hey, look, if anyone else wants to hack Bitcoin, it's going to take them years to build what we've built to do this. There's only one machine that can do this. We have the machine. We just want to make you aware that other people might eventually be able to build this. Great, right? That would be a best case scenario. What's going to happen after that? No one's going to want to hold their Bitcoin. Who's going to want to hold their Bitcoin knowing there's a machine that can steal all of their money with no trace, right? With no trace, and and that's it. they can literally build this machine and have access to hundreds of billions of dollars in a week. It's inevitable, right? It's inevitable. Like Vitalik said, it's inevitable that this will happen. No one's going to hold. Okay, so that's our best case scenario. Is that the price is going to absolutely tank. Is it going to be an opportunity? Maybe eventually it becomes quantum resistant. That's kind of the play I would be looking at. I'd be more interested in buying it, even if it bottomed down here. I'd be more interested in buying it when it became QR. So even if it became QR 100% up later, I'd rather buy when I know my money's secure, because it could still go and do a 10x, right? It could still do a 10x. I would be so much more confident putting a lot more money into BTC after it's QR. Before QR, I'm probably going to let you guys know in the bear market how much I'm going to put into BTC. This space is going to move very fast, and we're probably going to get a lot more news about quantum upgrades. So when we get into the bear market, I'm going to actually decide how much I'm putting into Bitcoin. It's not going to be anywhere near the amounts that I was planning to before quantum became a serious threat, right? Especially when the smartest people in the space are saying that this is going to happen. It's inevitable. And retail are commenting on my posts and videos saying this is FUD, right? This is FUD. The same when I talk about XRP. I say, guys, XRP has bull run, bear market, bull run, bear market. They say this time's different. I know we crashed in 2021. I thought we were going higher, and yeah, I know we done the same in 2018, but this time is 100% different, and you're giving FUD, right? The banks are here, the total global adoption is here, and this time is FUD. Okay, they say the same thing every cycle. So what's the situation here? Well, the good news is I really like that Vitalik is on the ball with this, and he understands that this is going to happen, that they need to take steps. And I think he's talking about it more now, with a 20% chance in the next 5 years. I think he's given us the heads up that we have to make changes to this system now, or people are going to get left behind. And I also think, I know ETH is going to be first to be quantum resistant. Is that the reason we are seeing all of these dormant wallets? We're seeing so many dormant wallets pop up and start moving their Bitcoin into Ethereum. So a Satoshi era wallet moved 2,000 BTC into 49,000 ETH, shifting $221 million into $219 million of Ethereum. This isn't just a one-off. We're seeing loads of these dormant wallets, loads of Satoshi era wallets buying ETH. Now, this might be the case that when BTC tops, it's very normal for some money to trickle down into Ethereum. This is usually what happens. So BTC topped, Ethereum was trending down against BTC, and then you go through these cycles, right? And then technically ETH tops, and then some of this money goes into altcoins, and then altcoins rally, right? That's usually how the cycle works. I'm going to say usually because, there's been a lot of different changes this cycle. I don't like to say this time's different, but when you go from 3,000 altcoins to 30 million altcoins, that is very different, right? That is massively different. And liquidity, whether you like it or not, liquidity is spread across 30 million tokens as opposed to 3,000 tokens. So you don't have this funnel You don't have this money coming into this funnel with 3,000 tokens anymore, right? You've got all of these, buy this, attention grabs, buy Moonpig, right? James Wynn was going, buy Moonpig, and Moonpig does this, and then buy Goat, other people saying buy Goat, and Goat does this. You got all of these liquidity grabs, and Kanye West's project launches, and 11 people make $1 million and 51,000 people lose, and that liquidity doesn't come back into the market, right? It goes into the hands of those 11 people who rugged. So we've had a completely different cycle in terms of altcoins, especially. Bitcoin, no, just same old. We had global adoption as we was expecting, but different market for altcoins. So it could be that these whales are all of a sudden selling their BTC to buy ETH, but why didn't they do it last cycle? Why didn't they do that last cycle? It was still, the understanding in 2021 that money trickles down from Bitcoin into Ethereum. Even when I got into crypto, people were telling me money's going to trickle down from Bitcoin to Ethereum. That's why I bought Ethereum, and then it turned out to be a great play, right? I think it done a 20x or something. I got it at like $200. And then I went into altcoins, and it trickled down, and that's why I was kind of expecting that to play out this year. And then we had 30 million altcoins. We had pump fund era launch. So nobody knows how it's going to go this cycle, but we are seeing more and more of these old wallets, these dormant wallets, buying Ethereum. So I would speculate that ETH and Solana. There's a category, right? So ETH, Solana, Sui. Sui's going to be quantum resistant first. In terms of I'm talking about the largest layers, right, that kind of have the mind share right now. There is quantum resistant projects that I'm looking at, and I won't invest in them until the bear market anyway. So I am looking at them. I see them. I'm gonna watch their updates. I'm gonna watch their upgrades, and it's a sector I'm interested in. Quantum resistant blockchains. They're gonna struggle to compete with these blockchains that are quantum resistant. Where they will really shine is if the quantum threat accelerates a lot faster than people expect, and then quantum resistant blockchains would actually go parabolic. I still think they're going to go down 90% into a bear market. I don't think many altcoins are going to make it, especially quantum resistant blockchains are very new, and they kind of have to go through a bear market first. And especially new projects, they really do tank in the bear markets. I think even Sui will tank a lot this bear market, and it's the second cycle where they get to shine. If they continue to build into the bear market and their moment comes, they get to shine. So I am looking at those as a potential high risk sector in the bear market, which I think could be quite interesting. But what I'm really interested to see is the main three become quantum resistant. Sol is going to be pretty fast. Vitalik is obviously on the case, and I think he's probably going to be. It should be 2 years, but I think it could even be faster. He's very smart, and he's already been talking about this way ahead of other people, right? He's been talking about the threat being real back in October 24, and only recently Elon talked about it, and we saw some other people talk about it only recently. And still, a lot of the space are just ignoring it and not counting it as a real threat. Sui is very fast. Sui actually might be before both of these. It might be quantum resistant, and they don't have to upgrade the wallets, right? Something we can't escape, guys, is if BTC does get hacked or there's a quantum threat, the solution, as far as I've seen, is money will have to be transferred from your existing wallet into a new quantum resistant wallet. So you'll have to actually move your Bitcoin to a new wallet that's quantum resistant, and we're starting to see some of this. This move wasn't a quantum resistant wallet. They just moved it to fresh wallets, which will be a lot harder for quantum to hack. It would still be able to hack it eventually, but it just makes it slightly harder because the public keys are hidden until you start making proper transactions. So there is no way, if you have to move your Bitcoin, all of the old wallets that were holding Bitcoin will get hacked. Even if Bitcoin becomes quantum resistant, they will get hacked. That's going to be the biggest black swan event of our lives. If Bitcoin makes it and it becomes QR before quantum becomes a threat, whenever quantum starts to hack wallets, we're finished short term. We're finished, because think about it. Think about how much Bitcoin has been lost. People speculate that Bitcoin can't even drop below $10,000 a coin because of the amount of wallets that were lost. So the entire floor, the entire floor when we crashed could get wiped out. Let me see if we can do this in. Let me see if we can do this in real time. Let me check and see how much Satoshi's is worth. So can you imagine? In Satoshi's wallet, he has around $120 billion worth. And we've just recently seen that whale sell 2 billion. I think it was 2.7 billion they sold, $2.7 billion. So we've just seen that whale sell 2.7 billion, and it literally moved Bitcoin's price down, right, aggressively. And that was just a small amount of their portfolio. I think it was less than 20% of their portfolio. They still have $17 billion worth left to sell. And we have to wonder, are these maxis going to de-risk, right? If this threat becomes more present, they can clearly see Elon Musk is dropping hints. Vitalik said there's a 1 in 5 chance crypto might get hacked by 2030. Who in their right mind is going to hold $20 billion in Bitcoin, guys? If you have a 1 in 5 chance of losing your $20 billion in the next 5 years, what are you going to do? You're going to de-risk. Anyone with any sense is going to de-risk, especially if you're up. This wallet in particular had been holding 6 or 7 years, especially if you're up 50x, 100x, 1000x. Some people are up thousands of x's. What are you going to do? You're going to de-risk. You're going to take some money off the table. And we might see people continue to de-risk. It's a real threat. And the problem is, as we go into the next bull run, the quantum threat gets greater and greater, which you don't really want in a bull run. So personally, I think we need to really start to make noise about this. We need people, they need to start becoming quantum resistant immediately. There's not enough talk about it. There's not enough action. And unless people speak up about it, guys, they're not going to do it, right? There's no incentive. If we keep getting this, the banks will be a threat first. The banking system doesn't take 3 years to upgrade. The banking system doesn't work on a decentralized vote. It doesn't require a bunch of miners to vote. It doesn't require consensus. It's a completely different kettle of fish, and it's the worst argument. It's almost embarrassing when you hear people say it. And it does concern me. It absolutely concerns me. And I would 100% put less money into this until this is solved, until this is resolved, and treat it as an opportunity. For me, until they become quantum resistant, there's a real threat of this eventually happening to Bitcoin. And when they become quantum resistant, bang, opportunity of a lifetime, right? If we go into that threat with a massive panic sell-off, it's going to be the greatest black swan event of our lifetimes. But we also have to remember that at some point those dormant wallets are going to get hacked. Someone's going to come for that $120 billion in Satoshi's wallet. What if Bitcoin hits 500k, right? What if Bitcoin hits 500k? There's going to be $500 billion sitting in Satoshi's wallet that could potentially get hacked, right? And what happens if you go and sell off $500 billion all at once on the market? It's straight into a rough time. So yeah, it's a very serious threat. I don't want it to happen. I think it's inevitable. I agree with Vitalik. Whether we like it or not, this is going to happen. And I want to see Bitcoin taking steps ASAP. I would actually rather, if Ethereum becomes quantum resistant first, I would probably put more money in Ethereum than I would BTC. It pains me to say that because they're completely different kettles of fish, but I think we would see a lot of money go into Ethereum. Also, Ethereum doesn't have the massive amount of dormant wallets, right? It doesn't have Satoshi. Ethereum's not going to have this massive wallet. As Bitcoin scales and scales and scales, this wallet is going to scale into trillions of dollars. Imagine having one wallet with trillions of dollars in that could potentially get hacked. Imagine the desire. Imagine how many people are going to be trying to hack that wallet, trying to get that money. Once it becomes 500 billion, a trillion, that's more money than some countries have, right? And that's going to become a massive, massive target over time. And ETH doesn't have that. Okay, ETH doesn't have that. And now ETH is not digital gold. It's more of the internet, which you could argue even has more utility. Are we seeing? I like to invest. I like to think of 3 or 4, 5 years down the line, and I like to try and invest where the market's going to be. Right? That's not. You don't make money right now. People say Bitcoin's fine right now. It's okay right now. You know, you make money by trying to predict the future. Where's this going to be in 3 or 4 or 5 years? And maybe this is what Tom Lee sees. Maybe this is what people see, right? Tom Lee was basically saying, I think Bitcoin's kind of finding the top here, and I think Ethereum's going to be the next layer of the internet. Now, this is kind of what we hoped for Ethereum last cycle. I think I got Ethereum around $200. I think it went up to $4,000. It was crazy. And we kind of hoped this, and we never saw it. We never saw this institutional adoption that we were hoping for. But we are starting to see that now. And if it can become quantum resistant and have this TradFi institutional backing and adoption, we're seeing eToro start to use it. We're seeing Robinhood start to use Arbitrum. ETH could be the play, guys. I'm not going to lie. ETH could be the play because BTC is going to be lagging. It's going to be the miners. I feel like they're going to be late to react to this. And I feel like one of the main reasons they're going to be late to react to this is because the more they talk about it, the more the BTC price is going to go down. And miners really don't want the price to go down. They want the price to stay as high as possible. Why? Because they have costs, they have fees they have to pay. Michael Saylor especially doesn't want to be talking about quantum computing threat. Why? Because so many people follow him. And they will get worried that maybe Michael's going to de-risk, and maybe I should de-risk before Michael. So when Michael Saylor's asked about it, he often says the banking argument. Oh, well, you know, the banks are going to be at threat if quantum, you know, advances. And he knows full well that the banks could just upgrade very fast, maybe in a few weeks. And he knows full well that Bitcoin could take years. And it could even increase the fees of Bitcoin. It could even make it slower. It could increase the fees of Ethereum too. It could increase the fees and speed of both. So I feel like greed is going to get people. And obviously Michael Saylor doesn't want to get liquidated either, right? So he definitely doesn't want this quantum threat to become real, because you might see a panic sell-off from retail and institutions alike. It's likely we're going to see institutions and smart money sell first, and then retail potentially later as we get closer and closer to it. They'll start to ask, why are we going down? Why are we going down? And then they'll say, oh, so-and-so sold because of the quantum threat. And they'll be like, what quantum threat? And, you know, it could really scale out of control the closer we get to this happening. And I just feel like they'll be late to react because of this, right? They'll be late to react. It will get closer and closer. Maybe it gets 2 years away. And then, do you know what? If we get 2 or 1 years away and quantum keeps getting better and scaling, you know, I would be very cautious about even investing in anything that's not quantum resistant, to be honest. You know, when you get closer and closer and there's been no changes, then we know there's still going to be 2 or 3 years for an upgrade. So when we get into the area where we're expecting quantum to hack it and it's going to be 2 or 3 years for an upgrade, you might see 2 or 3 years of downside until that upgrade is rolled out. And then you've still got to test it, right? You've got to roll out the upgrade and make sure the network is still safe. So it's got to go through vigorous tests. So in this time, what might happen is, let's say Solana migrates to become quantum resistant, ETH migrates to become quantum resistant, but BTC lags because everyone doesn't want to talk about it. It's like that film, right? Don't look up. And BTC lags, we might see a lot of money going in here. And this really might be what a lot of people are doing. A lot of these dormant and Satoshi era wallets, they might just be hedging, because, you know, if you've made $20 billion in a very short amount of time, why wouldn't you just put some of it in Ethereum? You know, why wouldn't you put it in some of these other blockchains that don't have these Satoshi type wallets, that don't have these lost wallets with billions and billions of dollars sitting in them ready to get hacked? A lot of the old wallets that were lost as well are in very low security wallets as well. So those wallets are really at threat and don't even need really complicated quantum to hack them. So yeah, guys, I know it's doom and gloom. I'm all about preparing for the future. I'm all about, if I'm going to go and put hundreds of thousands of my money into an investment, it needs to be safe. I'm not going to go and put hundreds of thousands in a BlackRock ETF, and there's no insurance, and there's a disclaimer that says, yeah, quantum might hack us and all the money's going to be gone. No way am I going to do that, guys. You know, I'm not going to put 50% of my portfolio in that's gambling. That's absolutely gambling. If quantum is a real threat in the next 5 years, there's no more, oh, this is the safest asset ever anymore. This is the lowest risk play ever. It's actually it's a high risk play right now. It's a very high risk play. If you have a 1 in 5 chance of losing in the next 5 years, it's a massively high risk play. It's almost like an altcoin. It's almost like investing in altcoins in the bear market. So yeah, it's not for me. I'm still going to be in. I'm going to be in the game, especially if we have, if we have a bear market approach. I'm going to be in the game. Am I going to hold it if the price comes down 60, 70, 80, 90%? Obviously not. But yeah, I'm still planning to buy in the bear market. It's just going to be nowhere near what I was hoping. If it becomes quantum resistant, I'm happy to maybe hold it until the end of my life, right? If it becomes quantum resistant, I'm happy to hold it until forever. There's only 21 million, right? I love scarcity. I love that there's only a select amount. I love that it's decentralized. I love that it's immutable. I love that there's no centralization, that there's no middleman. It's one of the most unique assets of our generation, but now it's under a serious threat, and everyone is kind of giving us warnings here and heads up. And people are actually starting to make changes to protect against quantum. It's crazy. So yeah, what's your thoughts, guys, on this? Don't forget that an ETF doesn't protect you or save you. I wonder if it did start to go under, whether there'll be withdrawal limits. Probably not. BlackRock's got a lot of money, but yeah, that's the thing. Another play here is, if you're an ETF and you know that you're probably going to be one of the first people to know that Bitcoin's going to get hacked, or maybe you're in talks with IBM and they're like, yeah, buddy, we think we're going to be able to hack Bitcoin in 6 months, but we can't let this out to the public just yet until it's confirmed, right? If you're an ETF, you're probably gonna sell your Bitcoin and just hold cash, because if people are buying Bitcoin at 100k and you know that it's going to crash to 10k because quantum is going to be able to hack it, imagine the amount of money you could make, man, right? Because people start to sell at 50k, they start to sell at 30k. How much money would you have made? Crazy play there. I don't like these scenarios where there's opportunities for bad behaviors from some of the elites. So yeah, that's another play. They just have paper Bitcoin, and they don't actually hold any actual Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin gets hacked, or the fears about it getting hacked escalate and it becomes real, or maybe there's some great upgrades in quantum. That's always a play on the cards. Let me know what you guys think. Guys, don't forget, if you want to follow me, I'm going to constantly be talking about this as the space upgrades, because I don't think anyone's taking it seriously, and I think we need to be on the ball. Follow me here. You can see my name at the bottom. Follow me here. If you want to join us and you want to see my buy and sell alerts, you want to see what trades I'm taking, I post my trades and my setups in the Discord. Here you can see I posted this back in February 2025 of what I was looking at for the BTC price, and it literally pretty much done this exact move, right? Touched the bottom line, pushed to the top line, and then coming down now. I think it's potentially coming down to this white line. Two plays here. It's either going to bounce to the upside or it's going to break through. Last cycle it broke through, so I try not to trade. This time is different, but hey, if it is different, we can always adjust the strategy when we bounce off this white line. We're either going to break through this white line or we're going to bounce, right? So pretty easy setup. Don't forget, if you want to join us, you want to see my buy and sell alerts and what I'm doing, yeah, head over to my X. If not, just follow here. I post some free alpha and updates. None of the information in this video is financial advice. Do your own research. Investing in crypto is highly risky. You can lose all your money investing in anything. So always do your own research first. That's it for now, guys. Until then, I will catch you in the next one.